Hey, what's going on, guys? So a few months ago I created an intro to Electron video, and a lot of you guys liked it, and I've gotten a lot of requests since then to do more with Electron, which is a technology to create desktop applications with JavaScript. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to go a little bit further than we did in that intro video and create a shopping list desktop application, which is cross-platform, and I'm going to show you how you can build it out to an actual desktop app as well. Okay, whether you're on Windows, Mac, or Linux. All right, now we're not going to have it saved to any kind of database or anything like that. It's just going to be in the actual application itself. So when you close the application, the items will go away, but we may create another video later on where we can use like some kind of local storage or flat file or maybe some kind of database. But we're going to learn quite a bit in this video: how to create menu items, how to create keyboard shortcuts for your application, how to publish it, how to manage more than one window. So there's going to be quite a bit in this video, okay? And I'm going to try to stick it all in one video, so it should be about an hour or so. So let's take a quick look at the application. So we're going to be using something called Electron Packager, which is going to package it for either Windows or Mac or Linux. And once you do that, once you run the package command, you'll get this release builds folder, and this will be the actual application. You can see there's an exe file here, shopping list exe, and we even have a custom icon. I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So if we open this up, that's going to open up the desktop application. Notice it has a menu here. Now we just have a file. It's pretty simple. We just have file, we have add item, clear items, and quit, and then we have the developer tools. Now we're going to make it so that if you put it in production mode before publishing it, the developer tools won't show, because if you're going to, use this as an actual desktop application, you probably don't want people toggling dev tools and stuff. So I'll show you how to do that. But basically we can click add item. It'll open up a new window, and we can enter something in here. We'll say milk, and that'll get added to the list. And by the way, you've probably noticed we're using Materialize for our UI framework. Let's add something else. We'll say bread. And then to remove them, we can double click. That will remove them, or we can go and we can clear out all the items. We're also going to add keyboard shortcuts, so you can see Control Q will quit. We have Control R to reload and Control I to toggle the dev tools. All right, so I'll go ahead and quit. So very simple application, but like I said, you guys are going to learn a lot when it comes to creating the menu and all that stuff. So hopefully you enjoy it, and let's get started. So if you guys really enjoy my content, you feel like you really get something out of it, consider becoming a patron to push me to keep bringing you high quality educational videos. Showing your support with even $1 means the world. We have different perks and tiers, including a $2 tier that'll give you every Udemy course that I release absolutely free. To learn more, check out patreon.com/traversymedia. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm in my projects folder, and I'm going to create a new folder called shopping list. Okay, so that's going to be our application, and I'm going to go ahead and open it up in Visual Studio Code, and then I'm also going to open Git Bash up in that folder. Okay, now obviously if you're using Mac or Linux, you just use your terminal. If you're using Windows, I would suggest using something like Git Bash, but of course you can use your regular command line if you want. Now I'm not using the integrated terminal here because I want to have all this room so you guys can see all the code. Since we're not using a browser, I don't need to split the screen, so I'm just going to keep the command line over here. All right, so first thing we're going to do is run npm init, because we need to create our package.json file. All right, so let's see, we'll make this a little bigger. So let's see, package name projects. Oh, I'm in the wrong folder. Hold on, guys. Let me just cd into shopping list. All right, so I'm going to run npm init. And let's go through this version. That's good. Description, we'll say shopping list. Shopping list desktop app. Entry point, I'm going to use main.js for my entry point. Author, I'll put my name, but of course you can put your own. License, I'm going to say MIT. All right, that looks good. So now we have our package.json file over here. Now we're going to install Electron. Let's clear this up. So to do that, we're going to say npm install -- save Electron. And that's going to save it as a dependency in our package.json file. All right. And then the last thing I want to do in this file is I want to create a start script. So I'm going to replace this test. We don't need that. I'm going to replace it with start. And then we're going to go ahead and just say electron dot. All right, because I just want to say npm start instead of electron dot. So we'll go ahead and save that, and then that should be it for now. So let's close that up, and let's create our main.js file, which is our main file. So in here, we're going to bring in a couple things, of course, Electron. So let's say const electron, and we'll set that to require electron. All right, we also want to bring in a couple core modules. I'm going to bring in the URL module, which is just a core Node.js module, and then also the path module. Okay, so next thing we want to do is we want to grab some stuff from Electron. So we're going to go const, and we're going to use a little bit of destructuring. So we need some curly braces, and we're going to get the app object, and we're going to get the browser window object. Okay, I'm going to pull that out of Electron. All right. Next thing we're going to do is create a variable to represent our main window. Basically, we're going to have two windows, our main window, which is the one that's going to list all the items, and then the add window, which will be the little one where we actually enter the item. So let's work on the main window first. Now, in Electron, what we have to do first is just listen. Geez, I can't type today. So listen for the app to be ready, and we can do that by saying app.on, and then we're going to pass in here ready. All right, so once the app is ready, it's going to run a function, and this is where we want to create our window. So we're going to say create new window. All right, and it's going to say main window. That variable we just created, we're going to set to new browser window. And then we're going to just pass in an empty object here because there's no configuration options that we need right now for this. All right, so next thing we want to do is load the HTML file into the window. Okay, we don't have our HTML file yet, so let's create that. So I'm going to say new file, and we'll call this main window.html. All right, so I'm just going to put some basic HTML tags. I'm using Emmet, so I just did exclamation tab. And I'm just going to get rid of all the metadata here. We don't need that. We'll keep the title, and in here we'll say shopping list. Okay, and in the body, I'm not gonna deal with Materialize and the styling until the end. Okay, we want to get all the functionality first. So for now in the body, I'm just going to put an H1, and we're just going to say shopping list. And we'll save that. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. So that's all we'll do right now for the HTML. So let's go back to main.js, and we're going to take that main window object, and we're going to call .load URL. And inside here, we're going to use the URL module, and we're going to call .format. Okay, and then in here we pass in some curly braces, and this takes in a couple things. So it's going to take in path name. So for path name, basically we want to say the current directory / main window.html. So we can just use the path module and call join. Okay, so first we're going to pass in _dir name, which is the current directory, and then we want main window.html. Okay, then we're going to put a comma here, and the next option is going to be the protocol, which is going to be file : and then we have one last option, which is going to be slashes, and that's going to be set to true. Now, if this piece of code right here confuses you, basically what it's doing is it's just passing in file like this slashes, and then whatever the current directory. So that comes from dir name slash and then main window.html. It's basically passing that path into load URL. Okay, it's just a fancy way of doing it. So next thing we want to do is actually now we can try it out. So let's save it and let's go over here and let's say npm start. And there we go. There's our window shopping list. Now, since we haven't created any of our own menu items or anything, we have the default menu, which just has file, exit. It has these edit options, view, which has the, we can toggle the developer tools and some other stuff here, reload the application, window, help. So just the default menu. All right, so we can go ahead and close out, and notice that once we close, this will actually stop as well. All right, so now that we have our main window at least coming up and we're able to run Electron, now let's work on the actual menu because we want to replace that with our own. So when we create a menu, we create what's called a menu template. So we're going to go down here and we're going to say create menu template. And we're going to create a variable called, well, I'm going to call it main menu template. You can call it whatever you'd like. And it's basically just an array, okay? When you create a menu in Electron, it's just an array of objects. So the first object is going to be the file, okay? So that's going to take in a label, and we're going to set that to file. All right, now that's all I'm going to do for now for the template. I just want to test it out, so we're going to go back up here. You want to make sure you're still in this function right here, this app ready function. All right, and then we want to build the menu from the template. All right, so we'll say build menu from template. And we do that by creating a variable. I'm going to call it main menu. And I'm going to set it equal to menu. Now, right now, it doesn't know what this is, this menu. This comes from Electron, so we actually have to bring it in up here. So we're going to put a comma and then just say menu. And then that menu object has a method called build from template. Okay, so then we just want to pass in here whatever our menu template. In this case, it's this main menu template. So I'm just going to pass that in there. All right, so next thing we need to do is just insert the menu. And we can do that by taking that menu object and calling set application menu. And then we're just going to pass in main menu, just like that. All right, so let's go ahead and save this and let's try running it with npm start. And now there it is. There's our menu. It just has the file, it has nothing else, but that's all we have in our template. Okay, and you'll see that it just overwrites the entire sample or whatever you want to call it, boilerplate menu that's there by default. All right, so let's close that up. And then we're going to go down and we're going to add some other stuff to our menu. All right, so for the file, that's going to have a submenu, and we're going to have three things. We're going to have add item, clear items, and quit. So let's go ahead and put a comma right here, and we're going to put in submenu. Okay, and that submenu is also going to be an array of objects. Okay, so we're going to have a label here, and this is going to be for add item. Okay, let's see. Yeah, we'll just do that. We'll just add the actual labels and stuff, and then we'll add the functionality after. So let's say add item. Let's do another one. We'll say label clear items, and then we'll put another one. And this one will be quit. All right, now quit is very simple, so we're just going to add that now. So we're going to put a comma and then click. Okay, when you want to add a click event to any of these, you just do click and then some curly braces. And all we're going to do here is say app.quit, because that just cuts the whole application. Okay, quits out of the application. So we can do that now. So let's save it and give it a shot. So file, now you can see we have our three items, and if I go to quit, it shuts it down. Now I also want to have a hotkey for quit. I want to be able to do Control Q. So what we can do is we can add an accelerator. So if we go right here and we say Accelerator, and basically I'm just going to use a ternary operator here because we need to test to see what platform we're on. We need to see if we're on a Mac or something else, because if we're on a Mac we need to use command, and if we're on Linux or Windows we need to use control. So what we can do is we can say process.platform equals Darwin. Now Darwin is going to be the value for this if you're on a Mac. And let me just show you real quick. If I go ahead and clear this out and I just say node, that brings us into the JavaScript V8 engine, and we can look at things like process, which just has a bunch of stuff, and platform is one of them. So if we say process.platform, you'll see that I'm on Win32. If you're on a Mac, you're going to see Darwin. So this is what we're testing right here, and you have access to all of this stuff from within your application. So let's get out of that, and what we're going to do is say if we're on a Mac, then we're going to use command plus uppercase Q. Else, then we're going to use control plus uppercase Q. All right, we just need a comma right here. All right, so this is a ternary operator. Basically, it's like an if statement. We're saying if this is true, then this. Else, this represents else, then this. Okay, and where else? Because we're not on a Mac. So let's save it. Let's try it out. Say npm start, and let's do control Q, and it closes it up. Good. So that's how you can add shortcuts. All right, so now what I want to do is work on the add item. Okay, so when we click add item, what do we want to happen? We want another window to open. So let's go to this add item right here. Let's put a comma, and we'll say when we click this add item, we want to call a function called create add window. Okay, so we're just going to call that function. Now this function doesn't exist, we have to create it. So let's go up here, and we're going to go under the app on ready function, which ends right here. So you want to put it right here, and we're going to say let's say handle add window, or handle create add window. Okay, so we'll say function create add window, and then basically we're just going to do the same thing we did here when we create a new window or a new browser window, and then we load the URL. So let's add another variable right here. We'll say let add window this time, and then what I'm going to do is just copy all of this, and then I'm going to paste that right in the create add window. And then we're going to change main window to add window in both of these spots. Okay, now this add window, new browser window, this is actually going to take in some options. I want to set the width of the window to 200, and I want to set the height to 300. And then I'm also going to set the title to, let's say, add shopping list item. All right. And then down here, we're not actually opening main window this time. We're going to open a file called addwindow.html. All right, and then this stuff is all the same, the protocol, the slashes. All right, so that looks good. So now what we want to do is save this and create the other HTML file, which is going to be called addwindow.html. All right, so in here, let's put some basic tags. I'm going to get rid of the meta stuff. And for the title, we'll just say add shopping list item. And in the body here, we're going to put in a form. Okay, we don't need an action. And inside the form, let's put a div, and then inside the div we'll have a label. All right, the label doesn't need a for, that's fine. We'll say enter item. Sorry about that jet ski noise, guys. Let's see, we'll have an input here. And let's see, it's going to be a text. We're going to give it an ID of item. And let's also make it autofocus so that as soon as the window loads, that input will be autofocused. Okay, and then under the div, we're going to put a button. Okay, let's give this button a type of submit. And we'll just say add item. All right, so let's save it, and now let's give it a shot. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to clear this out. We'll say npm start. So we'll say file add item. Okay, that doesn't look right. I think I have the height and the width backwards. Let's close that up. Let's see. Yeah, I do. So width should be 300, height should be 200. There we go. All right. So obviously it's not going to do anything yet. We haven't hooked that up, but it does open the window. Now, one thing I want to mention is that if I go and I click the X for the main window, this one will stay open, and we don't want that. That doesn't make any sense. What I want to happen is when we click the X for the main window, we want the entire application to close. Okay, so to do that is actually pretty easy. We're just going to go to up here where we have the app.onReady, and we're going to go under the load URL, which is right here, and let's say quit app when closed. So we'll say main window dot on closed. Okay, when the main window is closed, we're going to call a function, and we're going to say app.quit. All right, so now if we go and we try, if we open up our small window here and I go and I close the big window, it just closes the entire application, which is what we want. And then one last thing I want to do to kind of optimize this is when we close the add window, then we basically want to set that add window variable to null, because what'll happen is it'll keep taking up that memory space. So this is actually it relates to garbage collection. So we'll say garbage collection handle, and what we can do to fix this is we can say add window dot on. So add window dot on close, run our function, and then we're just going to set the add window to null. Okay, so that'll just optimize it a little bit for us. All right, now there's a couple other things that we need to be aware of. Now, if you're on Windows like me, you're probably not seeing a problem, but I'm just going to run this. If you're on a Mac, you're probably not seeing file right here. You're probably seeing Electron, because by default, it's going to show Electron, not file. And basically, the way that we can fix that on a Mac is by adding an extra object up here like that, just an empty object, so that file is actually the second menu item. Now, if we keep it like that and we run it, on Windows now we're going to have an issue because we have this little space here, and we don't want that. So what we're going to do is we're going to first of all just get rid of this, and we're going to put an if statement down here. We're going to check to see if we're on a Mac. If we are on a Mac, then we're going to push on an empty object up there, just like I just showed you. So to do that, let's put a comment here. We'll say if Mac add empty object to menu. So we'll say if, remember we can access it with process.platform. If it equals Darwin, then we want to take the main menu template, and we just want to say .unshift, and we want to pass in an empty object. So if you don't know what unshift is, it's an array method, and it just adds on to the beginning of the array. Okay, just like push would add on to the end. So it's just adding it to the beginning, just like I just showed you, except it's doing it down here. Okay, and it's doing it only if it's on a Mac. So that takes care of that. Now for the, get rid of that. For the development tools menu item, I'm not going to just directly stick it in here because I only want it to show if we're in if we're not in production. So we're going to go down here and we're going to say add developer tools item if not in production. And we can do that by saying we'll say if process dot env dot node underscore env is not equal to production. Okay, so if it's not equal to production, then we're going to take our main menu template and we're going to push onto it. Okay, we're going to push on another object. Okay, so this object is going to have a label. Remember, an object is just a menu item is just an object. Okay, so the label will be developer tools, and it's going to have a submenu, which will be an array. And let's see, inside the submenu, we want our dev tools, which is, the same dev tools that Chrome has. So let's say label. Label, we'll say toggle dev tools. All right, and then we'll have our click. Now this time we're going to have to pass in here item and focused window. Now the reason for this is because we want the dev tools to show up on, for instance, if we're focused on the little window, the add item window, we want the dev tools to pop up on that one. If we're on the big main window, we want it to show up on that one. So we need to pass this in, and then we just need to call focused window dot toggle dev tools. Okay, and that'll actually toggle the dev tools for us. All right. Now I also want to add a shortcut for this, so I'm going to copy this accelerator right here, this line, and we're going to put that right here. And let's see, we want the hotkey to be Command I on a Mac and Control I on Windows or Linux. All right, so I also want to have a reload item. So let's see. So we got our dev tools, and let's see. So in this submenu, I want to go right here and put a comma, and then put another object. And then all we have to do to get the reload option is say roll reload, like that. Okay, and we'll save it and let's try it out. Okay, so there's our dev tools. Let's say toggle dev tools, and there we go. And we can also reload the page. And let's do Control I. That also toggles the dev tools. Good. So that's all set. Close that up. So now I think we're ready to start the functionality of actually adding an item to the list. So we're going to start off with the add window HTML. That's where we're going to be working for a little bit. Basically, we're going to use some vanilla JavaScript to catch the item. Okay, when someone puts in some text, we want to catch that item. And we're going to be using something called IPC renderer, which is going to be used to basically send an event with a payload from this file to our main.js. All right, we want to send the item here, and then we want to take that item and send it to the main window so that we can list it in the main window. All right, so what we're going to do is create some script tags down here. All right, and we're going to bring in Electron here. So we'll say const Electron equals require Electron, and then we want to pull out that IPC renderer object. So we're going to say const, some curly braces. Don't forget the curly braces or it won't work. Renderer. Okay, make sure you put renderer, not just render. and we're going to set that to Electron. Oop. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to catch that item. So we're going to use a little bit of vanilla JavaScript. We're actually going to be using quite a bit from what I went over in the DOM crash course, which was the last series I did. So we're going to use document.querySelector, and we want to select the form. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put this in a variable. So let's say const form, and then we're going to take that form and we're going to add an event listener, and we want to listen for a submit event. All right, so once there's a submit, then we're going to call a function called submit form. Okay, so let's create that function. Whoop, forgot to say submit form. And that's going to get passed in an event parameter. Now, when we use a submit function, or whenever we submit a form, it's going to automatically just try to submit to a file as it would normally. So we need to stop that from happening. So we need to take that event parameter or event object and call prevent default, like that. All right, and just to test it out, let's just say console.log. We'll just log 1, 2, 3. All right, so let's go ahead and run our application. And let's go to add item. We'll go ahead and toggle the developer tools, and we'll click add item, and we get 1, 2, 3. All right, so we know that that's working. Now we want to grab whatever's typed in the item, okay, whatever's put in that input. So what we'll do is create a variable called item. Set it to document.querySelector. Okay, and it has an ID of item. So we're going to grab that, and we want the value, so we need to do .value. All right, and if you don't understand this stuff, I would highly suggest watching the DOM crash course that I just did, because we go over all this stuff. All right, now this IPC renderer, this is what we're going to use to basically send the item to main.js. All right, so we're going to say IPC renderer dot send, and then we're going to give this an ID. Okay, so we'll say add. Well, actually, we'll do item : add, and then we're going to send the payload or the item. Okay, so this works kind of like socket.io if you have any experience with that. When you're sending it from the client to the server, you're just kind of giving it a name, and then you're sending the data along with it, and then we're going to catch it on the main.js side. So let's go ahead and save this, and then we'll go to main.js, and now to catch this, we need to bring in something called IPC main. So up here, where we're doing our destructuring, we're going to add in IPC main. Okay. And let's see, where are we going to put this? Let's go under the create add window. So right here, right above the menu template. And we'll say catch item add. All right, so we'll say IPC main dot on, and then we want whatever we gave that name, which is item add. All right, so on that, when that happens, then we want to call a function, and this function gets passed in an event and the item. All right, or whatever we sent. And then what we want to do is send it to the main window. Okay, it's coming from the add window, but now we want to send it to the main window. So we'll say main window, and we can say .web contents .send. Okay, and then we're gonna again name this. We're gonna say item add, and we're gonna send the item. All right, and then we just want to close the add window. So add window .close, like that. All right, and just to test, just to make sure that it's coming from the add window to right here, let's go ahead and we'll do a console.log, and we'll log the item. All right, so now we'll clear this out, and whoops, let's stop it first. Okay, so we'll run it, npm start. Now, if it gets sent correctly, then when I put something in here and add it, it should log over here. So we'll put something in and add, and there it is. All right, good. So it's getting logged here, and then we're sending it to the main window. So then we have to catch it in the main window. So let's go over there. And we're going to go ahead and add our script tags here as well. Okay, and we're going to bring in Electron. Okay, and again, we're going to bring in IPC render. Oh, that needs to be in curly braces. All right, now I'm also going to add a UL up here, because what we're doing is we're taking the items and we're going to put them into a list item in this UL, okay, but we're doing it dynamically through JavaScript. So let's create a variable for that UL. So we'll set it to document.querySelector, and we want to select the UL. All right. So now what we want to do is we want to catch that. We want to catch this right here. Okay, main window, send item add, and we're sending the item. So we want to catch that using IPC render. So let's say IPC renderer dot on item add, and then we have a function, and that function is going to take in E and the item. Okay, so we're now getting the item being sent from the main JS. All right, so what do we want to do with this item? We want to add it as an LI into this UL. So we're going to have to do a little DOM manipulation here. So we're going to create a variable called LI, and I'm going to set it to document.createElement, and we want to create a list item. All right, now this is just a blank list item. We want to add a text node to it with the item that's being sent. So let's say const item text, and we'll set it to document.create text node, and the text we want inside the LI is going to be the item, okay, the item that's being sent. Then what we want to do is we want to append the text, the item text, to that LI. So we'll say li.append child, and we want to append the item text. Oh. All right, so hopefully you understand that. We're creating the LI, and then we're creating the text node, and then we're adding the text node to the LI. And then the next thing we want to do is add the LI to the UL. So ul.append child li. All right, hopefully that makes sense. And like I said, if you don't get this, go ahead and watch that DOM crash course. So let's actually test this out now. So we'll say add item, we'll put something in here, click, and there we go. So we can now add items to our shopping list. Awesome. So let's see, what do we want to do next? Let's do the clear items. So clear items, if we go to main.js, that's actually a menu item, right? So we need to add a click for that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the main window, and we're going to say .webcontents.send, and we're going to send an event called item clear. Okay, now we don't have to send anything with it, like we don't have to say like that, because we're just clearing it. We're not actually sending data. So we're just letting it know we want to clear it. So let's save that. Let's go back to main window and let's catch that. So just like we did IPC render on item add, we want to do item clear. So I'm going to copy that. Actually, let's put some comments in here. We'll say catch add item. Actually, we'll just say add item. And then here, we'll say clear items. All right, so instead of item add, we're going to do item clear. And there was nothing sent, so we don't need these. And we're going to get rid of everything in here. And then all we want to do is clear that UL. So we can just say ul.innerHTML equals nothing. And that's it. So let's save. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. So add item. Okay, so we'll say file, clear items, and now everything's cleared. So that's all set. Now I want to take care of the individual deletes. I want to be able to double click and have them delete. So for that, we don't have to send anything back and forth. We can do that strictly with vanilla JavaScript. So let's go down here and let's say remove items or remove item. So we're going to take that UL and we're going to add an event listener. Okay, we're going to listen for a double click, so DBL click, and then we're going to run a function called remove item. All right, we're going to create that right here, function remove item. And all we have to do here is say we're going to pass in the event, and we're going to say e.target.remove. Okay, so basically what this is doing is it's saying any li inside the UL that we click, we're going to just remove from the DOM, okay, or remove from our application. So let's save. Let's go back, and we can actually just reload. We'll add an item, double click, and it goes away. All right, so our core functionality is now done. Okay, it just looks like crap. So now we're going to start to style this. So let's go ahead and open up. Let's go to Materialize CSS, and we're going to go to Getting Started and grab the CDN for the CSS, copy it, and we're going to put this in the head of both windows. So main window and add window. All right, and if we go and we reload, we should see a difference right away. Okay, so now we're going to change some of the markup, add some classes and so on. So let's go to our main window first, and I'm going to replace this H1 here. So instead of just an H1, we're going to have a nav. So let's say nav, and let's see, inside here we're going to have a div, and it's going to have a class of nav wrapper. And don't worry, this isn't going to be long. So nav wrapper, and then we're just going to have an A tag with a class of brand-logo and also a class of center. Just like that, no link. And then in here we'll just say shopping list. All right, let's save it. Let's go to our app and reload. And there we go. All right, so let's see. Next thing I want to do is style the UL and the LIs, because if we add an item here, you'll see, look, the form is already changed too. But we want this to look like a collection. So a collection, let's see right here. So we want it to look like this. So the UL needs a class of collection, and the LIs need a class of collection item in order to look like this. So what I could do is I could just go to the UL right here, and I could say class equals collection. But if I do that and if I reload, you'll see there's this line now because it's showing the collection even though there's no items in it. So it's just like this blank, this line, and I don't want that. So what I want to do is I don't want this class applied until there's actually an item added. So I'm going to remove it here, and then we're going to go down to where it's actually added. which is in here, add item, and we're gonna dynamically add the class by just saying ul.className equals collection. All right, so now if we reload, that line's gone, but if I add an item, it now has that collection class. Now the list items also have to have that, what was it? Collection item. They have to have that class. That's why this looks funny. So what we're going to do is go right under where we created the li and say li.className equals collection item. Okay, so that'll add that class. So now if we reload, okay, so now it looks good. All right, so notice that when we remove everything, that line is still there because that collection class is still on that UL. So what we're going to do is clear that out. So if we go down to remove item, we're going to basically say if there's no LIs left, then clear out that collection class name so that we don't have this line here. So we're going to say if, and we can say ul.children, okay, because the LIs are the UL's children, right? So we're going to say ulchildren.length. If it's equal to 0, so if there's no LIs, then set the UL class name to nothing. And then we want to do the same thing when we clear the items, this class name nothing. So right here, we'll put that in as well. All right, and this may not be a big deal to you to have this line here. I just don't like it. So now if we go ahead and we add stuff and we clear, no line. If we add and we double click and remove, no line. All right, so we are getting there. Next thing I want to do is the form. Okay, so this right here, I want to add a container around it so it's not right up against the edge. And then I want to style the button. So let's go to add window.html. We're going to wrap the form in a div with the class of container. Okay, so that'll push it into the middle more. And then for the button, let's see, for the button we're going to add a class of btn. Let's also add a waves effect class, and let's add waves dash light. Whoop. Sorry about that, guys. Shut that off. All right, so let's take a look now. We'll save, we'll reload, and let's go to add item, and now that looks pretty good. So we'll say milk. Good. So I think our application is pretty much done. Last thing I want to do before we package it up is change the environment to production so that we don't have the dev tools option. And to do that, I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can set that. I'm just going to put a line, just one line at the top here setting it. So we'll go right here. And let's see, we're just going to say, let's say set environment process.env.node_env, and we'll set it equal to production. Okay, and if that's set to production and we run our application, there's no dev tools. Okay, it's just the file. And that's what we want when we actually publish it. So now let's get into publishing it. So to do this, let me just pull this up. There is another module we have to install called Electron Packager. And this is a really good tutorial. This is Christian engval.se/Electron Packager tutorial. I'll put the link in the description. But it basically tells us we have to install Electron Packager, and then it gives us each command to publish for each platform. This is for Mac, this is for Windows, this is for Linux, but down here, he actually puts it all into scripts for us in the npm file. So if we just say npm run package Mac, it'll package for a Mac and so on. So that's what we're going to do. So let's first install this. So we're going to go over here, we'll clear this out, and we'll say npm install -- save - dev Electron Packager. And that'll get added to the package.json file as a dev dependency. Alright, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go back to that blog post, and I'm just going to copy inside the scripts object. I'm going to grab all 3 of these and copy. And we're going to put this right under our start script. So we'll put a comma, and then we'll paste those in. Alright, and then I'm going to change right here under package win, it says product name Electron tutorial app. I'm going to change this to shopping list. Okay, now this also points to some icons or icon locations. So we have assets / icons / win. We also have a Mac folder and then a PNG folder. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to change the name of the PNG to icon.png. And I think that should be all set for this file. So let's save it, and then we're going to create these icon folders, and I'm going to add an icon. Now the icon that I used, I'm actually going to put a link in the description. Shit, did I close it? I keep closing it. Oh no, it's right here. So it's this icon archive. It's a free icon. But basically, there's the ICO version, the ICNS version, and the PNG version. So we want all of these. So let's go ahead and open up our folder for our project. And we're going to create a folder called Assets. Okay, and inside Assets, we're going to have a folder called Icons. Is it Icons? Let me check. Yeah, Assets, Icons, and then we want a separate folder for Win, Mac, and PNG inside here. So let's say new folder, Win, new folder, Mac, new folder, PNG. All right, and then what we'll do is we're going to download the ICO. I'm going to save it as icon.ico, and I'm going to put it inside Assets, Icons, Win. Okay, the Win folder gets the ICO. Okay, then I'm going to download the ICNS, and I'm going to rename it to icon.ICNS, and we're going to save that one to the Mac folder. Okay, and then we'll download the PNG. So I'll just say save image, and we'll save it as icon.png. And we're going to save that one to the PNG folder, obviously. All right, now we have our icons. If you want to use a different icon, that's absolutely fine. But I think everything should be all set now. So I think we should go and we should try to build. Now, since I'm on Windows, I'm going to be running npm run package win. So let's go over here and let's say npm run package-win. Okay, it's going to go through some crap. Okay, so now what it did is it created a folder called release build. So let's go navigate to that. So release builds, and I have this shopping list win32. We have a folder with a bunch of DLLs, but down here you'll see there's a shopping list exe file with our icon. We can open that up, and that's our application. Okay, we're not running npm start, we're not running anything at all. This is a pure desktop application, just like if you were to open Atom or VS Code. Okay, so let's try and add an item, make sure everything works. Alright, so we can add stuff. Let's double click, we can remove. Let's clear items, that works. Good, so everything works. I'm going to control Q, and it works. Now if I were to do Control I, it's not going to open the dev tools, because remember, that's only available if we're not in production mode, and we just publish this in production mode. Okay, because of that one line that we have right here. If you change this to development, then you'll be able to use the dev tools. All right, so sorry I'm losing my voice, guys, if you can notice, but I think that's it. So hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial. Hopefully it shed some light on how Electron works, how you can create menu items and multiple windows, and I encourage you guys to try and build your own desktop applications. All right, so thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.